Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We're going to continue with Simple Abundance, Sarah Bombranick's 365 Days to a Balanced and Joyful Life. February 1st, the authentic self is the soul made visible. When I suddenly begin to weep as I write, I know that I'm getting close to the wondrous truth of my assignment. Inadvertently, my subconscious scrawl has hit a deeply hidden psychic sciatic nerve. I've got no choice but to go on and go deep, the way a deep tissue massage will work on a painful knot of stress energy trapped in our backs or shoulders. The line of words, "finger your own heart," is how the incomparable Pulitzer Prize-winning author Annie Dillard describes the process of releasing truth while writing. It invades arteries and enters the heart on a flood of breath. It presses the moving rims of thick valves. It palpates the dark muscle, feeling for something, it knows not what. As I knead my own nerves steadily, I chance upon a gnarled knot from the past, suppressed sorrows, calcified regrets, shards of remorse. Entangled and embedded, buried deep in my heart's cavity. I tap the keys, my prose probing close to memory, just as the masseuse kneads my shoulder with the palm of her hands. Something I've been resisting is struggling to be heard. Making the absolute best of ourselves is not an easy task. It is a pleasurable pursuit. It is the reason we were born, but it requires spiritual moxie, the quixotic blending of passion, patience, persistence, and perseverance. For many of us, it also requires prayer. That's because we find it far easier to learn to live by our own lights when we access a higher source of power to illuminate our path. The American creativity teacher, author, and artist Julia Cameron calls this switching on spiritual electricity that transcends our own limitations. In my own journey, I have found this to be very true. Usually, I limited the times I requested that the power be turned on for the occasions when I was appearing in public, giving workshops, lecturing, holding business meetings. Then it occurred to me that this was like living in a house with electricity, but turning on the lights only for a couple of hours every few months. And I wondered why I was frequently bumping into obstacles. So I started to ask for the power to be switched on in my daily life. As a mother, as a writer, an artist, and a friend, when I asked, it was turned on. When I didn't, I stayed in the dark. You don't have to be a master electrician to understand what's going on here. Someone must turn on the switch. Asking is the only way to activate spiritual electricity. When there is light, we see remarkably well. We see with clarity. And what we can see if we look deep within is that the authentic self is the soul made visible. Your authentic self is your soul made visible to the world. I remember the day that spiritual truth pushed through my creative resistance. Up until then, I was under the impression that Simple Abundance was a book about eliminating clutter from our lives. I casually glanced at the page currently coming from the printer, and I was jolted by a sentence I hadn't remembered writing. I felt a shock, like static electricity, which I now call creative energy. To put it simply, the great creator and the work in progress, which became Simple Abundance, were having an editorial meeting without me. The authentic self is the soul made visible. As I begin to ponder this unexpected detour, I realize that the clutter isn't the only objects that no longer serve us, but the clutter of other people's opinions about our lives, our jobs, our partners, our wardrobes, our weight, our children, our decorating style. All the usual riffraff we wade through every day is just to get to a level playing field to find space for our own thoughts. And you wonder why you're tired. Don't try to remake yourself into something you're not. Just try making the best of what the great creator made in you. The sacred art of nurturing our soul is the artisanal craft of simple abundance. Begin today by flipping the switch to turn on the light. I know there are a lot of us that have a tendency to really want to hide who we truly are because we don't feel like anybody would really understand us. And that's okay. There are going to be a lot of people who aren't going to understand you. They're not going to understand what you're doing or why you're doing it, and hell, they might not even appreciate it, because sometimes people, particularly those you're close with in your life, when you start to grow and you start to change, they feel like they're going to be left behind. And so they try as hard as they can to drag you down. One of the best ways that I can put this is crabs in a pot. So if there are a bunch of crabs in a pot, you don't have to put a lid on the pot. So, you're trying to, and I'm vegan, so like I don't condone this anyway, but this is just what happens. So if you put a bunch of crabs in a pot and they start to try and get out, as soon as one gets close to the top, another one will grab it and pull it down. So you never have to put a lid on the pot, because the crabs will never be able to get out, because there will always be another one that will try and pull it down. So in your life, you are going to have people who are they're going to doubt you. They're going to say, you can't do it. They're going to, throw their doubts and their limitations at you. You just have to remember that those are their limitations and their doubts. And you don't have to live by what other people think. You have to live by what you think and what you know. And you do what you need to do in order to grow. Until tomorrow, I hope you all have an amazing and blessed day.